Have you enjoyed tonight? God is so good to our family. He's worked a miracle in so many of our lives, but I want to share with you now really quickly what God has done in my life tonight, because I want to tell you tonight that one of the most powerful weapons that the enemy force is using against us in the world today is the enemy of depression. You know, often we become distracted, even entangled and ensnared by all of the problems that are going on in our lives. You know, several years ago, I had my own encounter with depression. After breaking off an engagement with a wonderful young lady and seeing one of my closest friends pass away, I fell into that horrible place. And one night, as I was dropped out of college and went home, made one of the worst decisions of my life, as in a moment of panic and weakness, you guys, I took several hundred prescription antidepressant pills, and I consumed every single one of them. There were enough pills there that I found out later could have killed an elephant or a blue whale. You guys, tonight my life is a miracle. When I told my mother what happened, she filled with tears. They took me away on the ambulance to the hospital, just like your hospital here in Loma Linda, where my heart rate went higher and higher. Those of you in medicine, it went over 200 many times. I should have gone into cardiac arrest. I should have lost my life. I realized at that moment, as I laid on that hospital bed, I realized that this world has absolutely nothing to offer us except pain, suffering, discouragement, depression, and ultimately death. As I laid on that hospital bed, I will never, ever forget. I remember Jesus as he hung on the cross. And that thief next to Jesus who cried out, "Lord, remember me when you come in your kingdom." For the first time in my whole life, I saw Jesus as my only hope, my cornerstone. And I prayed my first real prayer of surrender. And at that very moment, my life changed. Because the power of Jesus worked a miracle in my life that night. And I made it out of the hospital with a clean bill of health. Maybe some of you have gone through a difficult experience in your life. Perhaps your spouse, loved one, or friend has gone through discouragement and depression. You know, I read in an article recently that here in the United States, the divorce rate is now over 60%. In the Gospel of John chapter 4, we read an interesting story about a lady who had actually gone through 5 marriages. You can imagine the pain and the agony that this lady must have been going through. But Jesus saw her heart and understood exactly how she was feeling. He saw right through her sorrow and anguish and knew exactly what she needed. He said, "Whoever drinks this water will be thirsty again." You know, that's the problem with the water here in this world. It never lasts. We can drink the well of buying and selling. We go to Walmart and the mall, but we're never satisfied. Just the other day, I saw a commercial. This guy was so happy. He had just bought his brand new computer. Now, I'll tell you, I like computers a lot. I studied them for several years in college, and this guy's coming home with his brand new computer, version 5. And on his way home, he passed by a billboard where they were painting up a new sign for version 6. Boy, did he feel down as his smile turned upside down. You know, too often we put our trust in things, belongings to make us happy. And sometimes we also put too much trust in people, our spouses, loved ones, and friends to make us happy when they're just sinful human beings like all of the rest of us. The only one in this whole world who can satisfy our thirst is Jesus. He said, "Whoever drinks the water I give will never thirst again." And I'm proud to say today that I have never again struggled with depression, and the reason is because I drink from that well that never runs dry. I know for a fact that I will never forget the experience that I had. It reminds me that Jesus still works miracles in our lives today. Perhaps one of the best things that we can do when problems come our way is to lift up our voices in praise to him. The book of Acts tells us that Paul and Silas had been unjustly tried, convicted, and thrown into jail, innermost cell, and fastened with stocks. And we read about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. Singing in jail, wrongly convicted, and they're singing. You know, the truth of the gospel is that regardless of our situation, we can put our hope and our trust in Jesus, our cornerstone. Even in our darkest hour, even when everything around us looks hopeless and we are in despair, we can still lift up our voices in praise to God.